last chapter, 30, Tree of Knowing. Welcome to the Tree of Knowing, Scotty said. Finally, every fight and every battle to get to this point was about to be worth the effort. Sweat rolled down my face as I took a drink of refreshing water. I was winded from the long, intense hike. The ground was uneven, filled with large rocks, and the hills were steep, making the walk one of the most difficult hikes I had ever encountered. I handed Mike the water bottle. He seemed to handle the information on Merope well and was understanding about why I'd hesitated to fill him in. He took a drink and handed it back. I gaped at the ancient forest tree that towered above our heads. What stood before me was nothing like the picture of Evan with his dad. The vision shown to me didn't compare to what my eyes were soaking in with this wondrous landscape. I was captivated by the bark glistening with orangish yellow amber, the shimmer coming from the orange leaves, and the years of knowledge that filled this magnificent evergreen more than all our libraries combined. The energy surrounding this majestic tree circulated inside me, a mixture of warmth and serenity. The unique smell of vanilla mixed with a damp, woodsy scent tickled my nose, keeping my emotions calm and relaxed. A constant feeling of ecstasy flowed through me. The tree gives off a particular negative ions that float throughout the air, more so than anywhere else on Earth, Hope said. Negative ions? I asked. Mike chimed in. Negative ions increase the flow of oxygen to our brains, resulting in higher alertness, reducing stress, and can regulate one's mood. I would imagine this being more intense for star children. Yes, Hope agreed. Especially in indigos, they can attain energy more than a normal human since they carry unique abilities with electrical currents. You're a smart girl, Hope, I replied. We continued our walk, and the tree stood over 200 feet tall. The roots flowed above the surface in every direction, enabling us to walk underneath it. Small white datura flowers covered the ground around the roots. The enchanted flowers protected the tree from those who weren't born star children. Wow, the tree has grown since I was here last, Evan said as he looked up. We noticed that the tree has shifted upward in the past few years, Scotty mentioned. I bent down to pick up a flower. This is remarkable. No, don't touch that, Hope snapped. Datura flowers can be poisonous to the touch without gloves. Mike laughed. I think Hope needs to watch over you. Ha ha, I said sarcastically. Scotty stepped onto a root and faced the crew. Now everyone keep in mind, the Tree of Knowing is protected from the flowers, but we know that Jasper had been recruiting our kind. We got lucky that trackers didn't spot us on the hike, but some may come in. Keep your guns ready. We get in, Amber gets what she needs, and we get out. The further we walked into the tree, the thicker the roots became. They slid deep into the soil. More white flowers were scattered across our pathway. They shimmered with a hint of silver. Flying around the white, sparkly flowers appeared to be small black and purple butterflies. My grandmother had loved butterflies. She used to tell me that the purple butterflies were a sign that a person was soon going to attain mastery in a particular life's pursuit. One could only hope for this mission to have a happy ending. While watching them swirl around the flowers, I looked closer and noticed that the wings were different. They had 4 wings instead of 2. One of the unique creatures landed on my shirt. I moved my hand closer to its legs. It stepped onto my index finger, and immediately energy moved from my hand to my heart. I stared at its admirable, simple life with no worries or concerns. I watched the butterfly open its lavender wings and shut them a few times before it rejoined its species in the air. The love coming from this tree was so magical. The more I inhaled the vanilla woodsy scent, the more my anger and frustration disappeared. My aggression towards Jasper was almost numb, making me forget for a brief second the pain he had caused me, my husband, and my friends. If only a tree so powerful could heal the madness inside Jasper with a simple touch. We stopped to take in what we were seeing and feeling. While my thoughts were on my grandpa, I reached my hand out, placing it on the large, glistening tree root, and instantly I felt my eyes turn to flames of orange. I was taken to a vision of myself at 6 years old. My grandpa was pushing me on the swing, and my grandmother stood nearby with a genuine smile. It startled me, and I wasn't expecting something to be capable of such power. Removing my hand, I felt orange flames, and my eyes returned to blue. What did you see? My grandpa asked. I saw you and me before you died. Well, fake died. Mike stepped over. How does it work? All I did was think of a time in the past and it took me to the memory. He reached out for my hand. Let's see if we can see the current time. We placed both of our hands on the tree roots, eyes glowing blue and orange. An image flowed through our thoughts. In front of us was Macy back at camp. She removed the headphones and sat up. Zeke? Macy called his name. She surveyed the tent and saw no sign of Zeke. A small piece of white paper sat on the table. Macy picked it up. After she read it, she shouted, Damn it. Mike and I quickly released our hands. Zeke asked, Well, did you see anything? I looked at Hope and back at Zeke. Let's just say her aunt isn't too happy about her being here. Evan stepped closer and his face turned red. I thought this was part of her training. Hope reached down to her bracelet and began to rub the dove pendant. Evan recognized the bracelet. He stared with wide eyes, numb and choking on his words. I can explain, I declared. I'm sorry, we should have told you sooner. Evan took a deep breath. Tell me what, Amber? At this point, everyone was staring at us. Hope, go ahead, show them. She had her head down and slowly stepped toward him with her hand out. We all waited as Evan hesitated, the same as Zeke had. With the recent loss of Alex, this could go in any direction, but we had no control over our soul's choice of bodies they inhabited. I just hoped that Evan comprehended that. After 30 seconds of silence from everyone and her holding her hand out, he finally placed his in hers. Evan's eyes shifted to blue ice crystals. A minute went by as we all patiently waited for him to return. His face was set in resonant sad lines, holding back tears. We waited for him to process the visions. He knelt and gave her a big hug. Hope asked everyone to connect hands so she could share her truths with the crew. They welcomed her thoughts and embraced the visions. I spoke up so all could hear. As you all can see, Merope came back to help defeat Orion. Electra came here to hide from him. But no more hiding. I need to find my sisters. I stared at the ancient perennial. This tree is more than alive. It sees everything. I have faith that it can show me what we need to know. Mike connected his cold hand to mine. Ready? He asked. We both touched the tree and waited. A few seconds and no visions. What did you see? Evan asked. Nothing, Mike replied. Interesting. Not a single vision, not even a glimpse. It was as if the tree was out of commission. Zeke rubbed his face like he was thinking hard. Wait, I got it, he shouted. I remember my uncle saying you need me to help. That's right. I couldn't do this without both. Mike was my twin flame, and Zeke was my half-brother, both standing in front of me, waiting for my guidance. Evan and the others watched patiently, wanting to know what fate had for us all. My heart pounded slightly faster with my fear on the edge of seeping out. I placed my left hand on the tree and connected my right hand to Zeke's. He took his other hand and connected to Mike's, with Mike's resting his hand on the tree. Again, nothing. I released my hand from Zeke's, but before anything else could happen, I felt a small, chilly hand grab mine. It was Hope's, of course. How could I forget my sister? We smiled, nodded, and stood together one last time with locked hands. Instantly, all four of us shared energy, eyes glowing purple, vibrations flowing through us. Lavender swirls of energy emerged around our bodies as the others stared in amazement. I focused on the 5 sisters, Maya, Segedi, Alcyone, Sterope, Seleno, concentrating on where their souls had found homes. Purple continued to slide through the air, eyes still glowing. I felt slightly dizzy, as if I was spinning around. Slowly, one by one, we could see the images of each sister and where they were, all here on Earth, except for one, Maya. I didn't see her. Suddenly, we heard a gunshot. Our eyes returned to normal and the swirls of energy disappeared into the air. I broke apart the connection and grabbed my stomach. An intolerable sharp pain shot through my entire body, assuming my empath abilities was kicking in and one of the crew was injured. I removed my hand from my stomach. Blood dripped. It wasn't someone else. It was me. Nausea hit and I collapsed to the ground. Before hitting the hard root, Zeke and Mike grabbed my arms. I laid back in Zeke's lap as Mike assessed the wound. Amber, Mike shouted. Hope knelt beside me. No, Amber. Across the way, I vaguely saw Scotty and Grandpa fighting some trackers. Our kind, mind controlled to destroy us. We'd feared this would happen. Mike took both of his hands to heal the wound. It wasn't working. The bullet lodged in my belly, just as Alex's had. The pain was unbearable, burning as if I was on fire. The only thing in my mind was my baby. I didn't want to lose my baby. Amber, Zeke whispered, stay with us. I'm going to use my energy to pull the bullet out, Mike said. As soon as he tried to move it, I screamed in agony. It wasn't working. They couldn't save me. I was too weak. So this was it. This was how the baby and I died. I couldn't save the star children in the world. My time was over, and I had to accept my fate. Please, don't leave me, Hope shouted with tears streaming down her cheeks. I coughed as the metallic taste of blood filled my mouth. Tears brimmed in Zeke's and Mike's eyes. I'm too weak. Electra is going to need another body. Find my sisters and finish this, I mumbled. No, Mike shouted. I'm not letting you or the baby die. Remember, forever love. Just tell me how to fix this. Tell me what to do. Mike bellowed, trying to press on my wound to stop the bleeding. He leaned down to where our foreheads touched. I was gasping for air. I closed my eyes and prayed for mercy. Save me and this baby. The sounds of the crew fighting faded, and Mike faintly disappeared from my sight until I saw darkness. And then, silence. When I slowly opened my eyes, the pain ceased. My stomach was no longer bleeding. Everyone was gone, and nothing was around me. It was very dark and hard to see. I stood up and spun around. Where am I? Shouldn't the gates of heaven be friendlier? Down the way, I saw something shining. With nowhere else to go, my curiosity grew, and I wanted to investigate. What more did I have to lose? The closer I moved toward it, the more nervous I became. Once I was close enough, the shining object stopped and came into focus. In front of me stood a very tall mirror. Inside the mirror was a beautiful young woman with similar features to mine. She was taller than me, with longer wavy blonde hair. It shimmered with gold. Her skin was flawless, and she wore a long ivory cloak that sat off her one shoulder. I recognized her. It was Electra. What was she doing in a mirror? I stepped closer, and she moved closer. My head tilted to the right, and she mirrored me. I lifted my hand, and she lifted hers. Where am I? I asked her. Her lips mimicked mine when I spoke. She didn't respond and continued to move where I moved. I took a deep breath and sighed. Well, you're no help. Just before I turned around, I heard a small little boy speak. Wait. The young boy from my vision suddenly appeared beside Electra. I felt a sting of melancholy and confusion. He held something up for me to see. It was glowing a soft orange color with hints of red. The little boy spoke in his mind. Heal your heart. Heal the world. Electra nodded and he stepped toward me. I moved closer to the mirror. The piece of rock was glowing brighter. It wasn't just any rock. It was my amber. To take hold of this piece of amber, I would need to step through the mirror. That was impossible, but everything up until this point had been unorthodox. Deep breath in and out, I raised my hand out in front and took a step forward, lifted my leg, and my body passed through the mirror. The feeling of fear was completely gone, and warmth entered my body. They now stood within feet of me. The little boy's radiant smile was comforting. He held the glowing stone up. As I reached for this magical piece, I stared at its beauty. Once I saw it, felt it, then heard it, it spoke to me with little whispers. It hit me like a ton of bricks. This was it. This was the key. Heal your heart, heal the world. I was astounded to know I'd had it the whole time. The whispers continued. To activate the amber, I must bring all my sisters together to unite our emotions. This would release Orion's soul from Jasper, sending him to the underworld with Hades. But one small problem, I said to the little boy. Maya is nowhere to be found. He pointed at the amber. I focused to see what he was trying to show me. Then a vision flowed into my thoughts. It was Maya, but she wasn't on Earth. Where was she? She seemed trapped. Electra walked past me. Wait, where was she going? She walked toward the mirror I slipped through and stepped into it. She disappeared from sight. When I turned to ask the little boy where she went, he pushed me. I lost my balance and fell into the mirror. Everything went dark. I was scared to open my eyes. Very slowly, I attempted to open them, blinking a few times to give my eyes a chance to focus. I was back at the tree where I'd been shot. Tracks of tears stained everyone's face. Blood covered Mike's hands. His eyes widened as he noticed I was alive. Amber? He shouted. The warmth of energy was coming from my hand. A piece of amber was glowing brightly. It released from my hand and floated upward. Circulating rainbow colors surrounding the enchanted piece, everyone watched as the whirl of energy grew stronger and brighter. After 30 seconds that felt like minutes, that piece of amber dropped to the ground beside me. I breathed in the rainbow swirls of energy through my nostrils. My entire body felt warm, and the aching was fading away. I lifted my shirt. We saw the bullets slowly sliding out of my stomach, and the pain was no longer. Everyone's jaw dropped as they witnessed me being saved. Is the baby? Mike spoke through his thoughts, but didn't finish his sentence. He's fine, I assured him. They were all speechless, passively waiting for me to speak. I know how to stop Orion, I announced to all, with the uniting of my sisters. But how? Hope asked. We don't know where Maya is. They patiently waited for my response. I do, I said with confidence. We're going to Pleiades. In spite of all our unsuccessful battles defeating evil, I now had the knowledge and the key to end this war for good, to bring tranquility amongst my kind and justice to be served without demeaning our morals or defaming what we stood for as Star Children. Our journey wasn't quite finished until I united my sisters, but I was ready for my destiny to be filled so we could live peacefully. It was time to face my fears, to become fearless. The end.